Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. If you don't know who I am retired Major Brenda Sanchez, and I bring you these Military Mondays every single Monday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, like clockwork, just like in the military, as long as technology cooperates with us, because we all know how technology these days doesn't always want to cooperate. But I love to interview veteran business owners or spouses of veterans. So if you fall into one of those two categories, reach out to me and let's have a conversation. But enough of that for now. I have two amazing people on today. It's a couple, it's a power couple. And I love that there are very few power couples in the military that both served. And so I wanted to bring you today David and Erin. They both served in the Army. And welcome. Thank you for being on today, both of you. And can you share just a little bit of your story? Because I happen to know where you met, but why don't we let my audience know where the two of you met, and we'll go from there.
So, hi, my name's Dave. And Brenda, thanks for having us on this morning. Erin and I both were graduates from West Point. I graduated in 93. She graduated in 94. We didn't meet there. I knew who she was, but she didn't know who I was. We actually met at Fort Riley a couple of years later. But I just finished up 25 years of service. I retired back in 2018 out of Peterson Air Force Base, retired as an Army colonel, and started out my career as a field artilleryman. And about the 8 or 9 year mark, I realized I needed something more than that for long-term career. So I switched over to operations research. So yeah, Erin and I obviously both served concurrently until about her 10 or 11 year mark, where we made a family decision because of ongoing deployments that one of us needed to make a change. So we switched status from being dual military to Erin staying home and taking care of the kids, which is, our number one priority was taking care of the family. And she continued to support me up until year 25 when I retired. And one of the things I told her was, hey, now it's my turn to support you. And she's got a great story about some businesses she started and an awesome not-for-profit here locally in Colorado Springs. And I'm in the support role now. So whatever I can do, my day job now is a financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual. We're working in real estate. We got a lot of, I guess, irons in fire. But my most important one is to support her and her vision and her dreams and what she wants to do at this point.
Awesome. And so Erin, you guys met kind of at West Point, not really. And then Fort Riley, I believe is what David said. So tell me a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk about what the two of you are doing today.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, especially when David and I went through West Point, there were not that many women there. And we all look the same. We all wear the same uniform. So there's a lot of men. David and I never crossed paths in our classes or athletics or anything like that. He's a year ahead of me. So I did not know him at West Point, but we met when we were both stationed at Fort Riley. I was actually the deputy provost marshal, and he was in battery command. Yes, in battery command. So my background is I graduated in 1994, and I was commissioned as a military police officer, and I loved it. Loved being an MP. Specifically the field missions. A lot of people don't understand that MPs have 4 missions. I actually did not like the road work or being a cop, so to say, at all. That's one of the 4 missions. But in any case, met David at Fort Riley, and it was funny how we met. So as an MP, we deploy a lot. And in my previous marriage, we had 1 child. And so I found myself a single mom right after I had my first child. And so I started trying to look for, how can I stay in the military? I love the Army. How can I support basically my small little family of Jacob and I, but not have to leave him as much? And back then, physical therapists did not deploy. And I had been a physical therapy patient many, many times, because after being an athlete, there was a lot of that going on. But in any case, the Army has a program. It's called the Army Baylor Program. It's through Fort Sam Houston down in Texas, San Antonio, Texas. And you basically get your doctorate through Baylor University as a physical therapist. So I was very blessed, applied to that, got in the program the first time, and was rocking and rolling in that program. And when 9/11 happened, and that kind of changed changed a lot of things, but graduated from there. David and I got married actually right before I went into that program in 2000. And so we were separated, no surprise, military couples. He was back at Fort Riley and I was in Fort Sam with Jacob. And anyway, so our first duty station, we were super, super blessed to get stationed back at West Point, which was a dream for both of us. After being cadets there, it's almost like a big college reunion, because a lot of people go back around the same time when you're captains to be on staff. So we were there and things were awesome. Loved being a physical therapist, obviously still am. Became pregnant again, and this time it was twins. So right around that time, once we found out we were pregnant with twins, they started deploying physical therapists. And Branch reached out to me and said, hey, because of your background, we think you're going to be one of the first to go. When are you having your children? So David and I had some decisions to make, and it was not an easy decision. It was very, very hard for me I had over 11 years of service, and I did not want to leave the military, but my family was much more important to me than that career. Any career, really. My family, I will always choose first. So that was my exit, but continued to follow David, obviously, on where we got stationed, and kind of took off from there.
Awesome. Well, let's go back for just a second. I want to highlight what you're doing now, but you were a military couple, 2 officers serving and in separate duty assignments, separate bases. For those of my audience that aren't familiar with the military or familiar a little bit, share just a little bit of what it's like to be married at 2 different bases, having your career and trying to have a relationship long distance.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't know how else to say it. It's not like you're deployed and 12-hour time zone difference away, but it's similar to that, because there's no help there's no co-support from, who's getting groceries, who's taking the little one to and from school or daycare at that point in time. So yeah, it's definitely difficult, and clearly we're driven people. We wouldn't have, chosen that career or chosen to go to West Point if we both weren't driven towards doing the best job we can in our career. So there's a lot of balls to juggle, especially when you're separated, that's for sure. So yeah, it's difficult.
The one thing I would add is, yes, it was very challenging. I was basically finishing up my command, but as challenging and tough as it was, the Army has always been, throughout both of our careers, has been very, very good to us. The example I bring out is, after battery command, I had an assignment to be an instructor at West Point, and they have a small list of schools that they would support me to get my master's degree in. So they allowed me to go to a school that was not part of that group, so I could be in San Antonio with Erin to get my master's degree in a year. And then we obviously linked back up, and we were able to head to West Point. So there have been a bunch of blessings along the way where the Army has said, hey, how can we make this work? And even Erin's branch, they assigned her at West Point when all the slots were filled, so she could be with me. So she was an extra. So it's things like that makes the separation easier. And it's not always that case. I know with some,
Right.
with some branches of service, it's non-negotiable. You're separated for 2 years and you figure it out.
Right.
That wasn't the case for us. So we're certainly thankful for that.
And I know most of the branches try to put military couples together, but depending on the career fields, it may or may not work out. And there are times when you have to be separated. And so because I don't usually have too many military couples on, I wanted to kind of highlight that just to give people some background of what it's like to serve, especially to officers serving in the military and the challenges. But we learn in the military to be flexible and things like that. And it just goes to show you how flexible people can be. But it does take teamwork. Teamwork we all hear teamwork to make the dream work, right? In marriage and in a business and anything. So you got out, and now you have a nonprofit here in Colorado Springs that you just started recently. So tell us a little bit about that, Erin, and who you support at the nonprofit and how my viewers can help you.
Okay. So the nonprofit is called Unharnessed Potential, and like most things, it was just an idea that just sprang out of a love that I have. So I love horses, have always loved horses. My cousins had horses. I grew up in an area where I couldn't have them. I grew up in Orange County, California, but my closest living relatives lived in Oregon and they always had horses. So that's where that passion of mine came from. In the military, moving around all that time, I wasn't going to get a horse. I always wanted one, but just that's a lot of logistics. In any case, once we got to Colorado, we basically got into horses. Well, my daughter and I did. It was a thing we did together. We still clearly do. Long story short, well, actually maybe long story longer, we now have 4 horses. In 2018, we actually were blessed to find this property. It has 10 acres. And at the time we had 2 horses, but we were boarding them. We've gotten to 4 horses, and Unharnessed Potential really just sprang out of what horses do for me. They're amazing. I feel like they have made me, I know they've made me a better mom. They've made me a better person. They force you to slow down and really be in the moment, because horses, they're big animals. I mean, if you're just going to be in a rush and you're going to not really be where you need to be around them, they're going to mirror that in a sense that they're going to be not wanting to be near you. They don't like super high anxiety. They don't like when you're just not connected with them. So I am not a mental health therapist. I'm a physical therapist, but oddly, I felt like when I would be around my horses, I was getting some form of fulfillment, some form of betterment as a person. And that's really how it began. I started doing some research, and the premier mental health therapeutic riding center in Colorado Springs, one that's been around the longest, is called Stable Strides. It used to be called Pikes Peak Therapeutic Riding Center, but they became rebranded. In any case, I met up with those people, some of the leaders, Shannon Mitchell and Chester DeAngelis, and started talking to them about my space, and it's just kind of morphed from there. So our biggest passion, just because there's such a need, we want to help all people, but the nonprofit specifically is focused on veterans and either active duty or retired or discharged, it doesn't matter, and their family members, and truly trying to help them, give them another form of therapy that we believe truly works. We employ the EGALA method, which is what is most recognized by Wounded Warrior Project and Operation Mend, and those other programs that truly focus on the mental health therapy in the equine world. So it's an experiential model, and I don't know how else to put it. I feel it's just magic. If you're really there and you're present, it will work. You will get some amazing benefit out of it.
I was going to say, you and I talked prior to going live, and I did ride horses as a teenager. And there's a peacefulness about being around horses. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like an escape. I don't know if that's the right word, but I always enjoyed that. I haven't ridden horses in a long time. I think the last time I rode a horse was on my honeymoon almost 12 years ago, on the beach, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's peaceful. And so the nonprofit just started here in Colorado Springs. You've already kind of shared who you serve. How are you getting the word out, or how do people get a hold of you if they want to partake in the therapy? Or secondly, those that maybe don't need the therapy, what can they do to support you in the nonprofit?
Wow. So we really literally are just beginning. My first client was supposed to be, 4 weeks ago, but getting the insurance for it was a little bit tricky. Most insurance companies, when you say anything with horse, they either get scared or they really want to charge you a whole lot. And right now we're self-funded. So because we've just started out. So we have a contract partnership with Stable Strides. This is how we're starting. So they are providing the clients. And I am an equine specialist. So the EGALA model works with an equine specialist and a mental health therapist. So Stable Strides is going to provide the mental health therapist and the clients. I'm providing the facility and myself as the equine specialist and the horses to make this all work. So that's how that's starting. Definitely we're going to branch off to where we do our own thing. I'd like to hire or partner with a mental health therapist that wants to do this on a regular basis. And I have my eye on one special one. But we're trying to get the schedules squared away. Support wise, there's tons of things to do at the farm. We do have a website, which is the best way to contact us. And obviously any kind of equine equipment or monetary donations would make the dream work a lot easier, that's for sure. And I'm sure we'll get there. But as just starting out, honestly, we're still figuring that out. But you can definitely go to the website. It's unharnesspotential.com. Pretty easy to find. And there's a contact us page there. There's a way that you can just make a donation online through the website. But yeah, I mean, there hasn't been anyone that has come out that hasn't said, wow, I would love to help. And that's on us. We have to figure out a way to really, really get that squared away, because again, I think part of it is David and I are so used to being self-starters and doing everything on our own. We pretty much are, but it's a joy. It is such a joy for me just being out there. If I could be working all day with a shovel, doing some hard labor, and I'm loving it. So just knowing that where it's going and where I want it to go it blesses us.
Awesome. So do they can go to your website, and when we get done, if you would put a link to your website in the comments below, okay. Facebook Live, and how they can get a hold of you. But can they book through you, or do they have to go through Stride? Strides? It's
called Stable Strides. They could book through me for sure. There isn't a book now right now. But if they contact me, they could definitely book through the website. Just send me a message, send Dave and I a message. Really, it's mostly because we're trying to figure out that mental health person and her schedule that aligns with mine. They could also, if they book through me and we already have the Stable Strides support, we could also do it that way. So okay. They have it all squared away as far as if we're billing insurance, private pay, however the payment source is. If it's military, we're definitely, and we're using, if it's military and we're using Wounded Warrior Project funding, then right now we're doing that through Stable Strides.
Okay.
Which the
And-
Stable Strides right now is focused on 2 days a week.
Correct. On
Okay.
Tuesdays and Fridays. That's what we're focused on right now.
Okay. And so you're kind of starting with them and then hope to expand out and kind of be your own entity, but partner with them
Correct.
and anybody else. Because I know there are a couple of equine type therapy places here in Colorado Springs, because we have like out in Falcon, Peyton, I think in that area, there's a couple also. So if I remember those names, I will definitely get them connected to you. But I know I have viewers that are a part of the VetNet community, Veterans Networking Group, that know exactly who I'm talking about, and I can't think of the name right now, that maybe can connect you. And hopefully by doing this Facebook Live, it'll connect you with some people that give you more connections and more funding so that you can get up and running a lot quicker.
And just one clarification, it's we're part of Colorado Springs, but the location is actually in Fountain, pretty close to Gate 20, close to Schriever, close to Peterson. So
24 Carson.
yeah, Gate 24 Carson, but uniquely located in the southeast part of the Colorado Springs proper, where most other places are out east or further north.
Nice. So it gives people another option, and being down near Fort Carson with both of your Army background, I'm sure that your passion is to help everybody, but obviously you have a heart for the Army from your background. So, and we have a large contingent of, Fort Carson is huge. So, thank you so much for being on today. Is there anything else that you want to share that we didn't cover today?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of a Monday morning to join me. And hopefully my viewers will chime in. Please, if you've found value in this, or even if you haven't, would you do me a favor and just share this video with your network? Because there are so many people that could value from the therapy that they do down there. And we just want to get the word out and let people know about the resources that are available. So if you're watching this, just please hit share, like and share it so that we get the word out to more of the network. And again, if you yourself are a veteran or the spouse of a veteran and you have your own business, you could even be currently serving and have a business. I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if you would be a good fit to interview for one of my Military Mondays. So thanks again so much for coming on today, Erin and David. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing everyone next Monday on Military Mondays. Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.